Hello, friends. The Nile is calm today as my canoe drifts along its waters, much like the ancient boats that once carried kings, priests, and merchants through the heart of Egypt. But today, we aren't just floating down a river, we are sailing through history, back to a time when Egypt stood on the edge of something great. A time when two lands, Upper and Lower Egypt, were about to be united under one ruler, one crown, and one kingdom. But who was the man who made this happen? Who was the first to sit on the throne of a united Egypt? His name was Narmer, or as some call him, Menes. The truth is, history isn't entirely sure whether they were the same person or two different rulers. But one thing is clear. Someone took the divided lands of Egypt and turned them into a single, powerful civilization. And that someone wore both the white crown of Upper Egypt and the red crown of Lower Egypt, combining them into the legendary double crown, the symbol of a united Egypt. Now, Narmer wasn't just some local king who got lucky. He was a warrior, a strategist, and, if ancient carvings are to be believed, a man who knew how to make an entrance. His greatest legacy is the Narmer palette, a beautifully carved stone slab that tells the story of his conquest. On one side, we see him wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt, raising a mace over a defeated enemy. On the other, he wears the red crown of Lower Egypt, leading his new kingdom. It's basically an ancient before and after picture. One moment, Egypt is divided, and the next, Narmer is in charge. But uniting Egypt wasn't just about winning battles. Once the fighting was over, Narmer had to keep his kingdom together. And how did he do it? He built a new capital city, one that wasn't in Upper or Lower Egypt, but right in the middle. This city was called Memphis, and it became the beating heart of Egypt for centuries to come. Imagine the hustle and bustle of a growing city, markets filled with traders, scribes recording laws, priests performing rituals in grand temples. This was Narmer's vision, an Egypt that was not just powerful, but organized, efficient, and built to last. Of course, being the first pharaoh wasn't all ceremonies and crown wearing. Ruling Egypt came with its fair share of challenges. Keeping the peace between two formerly rival regions wasn't easy, and rebellions were always a possibility. But Narmer set the blueprint for what it meant to be a pharaoh, not just a king, but a divine ruler, chosen by the gods to bring order to the world. And so began the long line of Egyptian pharaohs, some great, some terrible, but all following in the footsteps of the first. Narmer's reign marked the beginning of Egypt's first dynasty, the start of a civilization that would last for over 3,000 years. Just think about that for a second. 3,000 years. That's longer than the time between Cleopatra and us today. As my canoe glides past the riverbanks, I can't help but wonder what Narmer would think if he could see what Egypt became. Because after his time, his successors would take things to a whole new level. They wouldn't just rule, they would build, and not just ordinary buildings. Monuments so massive and mysterious that they would stand for thousands of years. That, my friends, is a story for next time as we enter the golden age of pyramids.